I like watching Hopesters leave our weekend services. I often wonder what kind of things are they thinking, or where are they going, what kind of conversations are they having? You know, I think our scriptures are clear. The Heavenly Father loves when we gather together, but it's also clear that we're supposed to go out, to go into the world to share the love of Jesus. So when you leave this church, where are you going? What kind of things are you doing? Here's a story of some Hopesters and where they go when they leave our weekend services.
Oh, originally we would have called it a halfway house. We're not really that, so it's a sobriety recovery house is what it is. If you're asking why we call it the Ponderosa, there's no reason other than I like the name and I carved a sign and it caught on.
In my own words, the Ponderosa is I guess it's a Christian-based recovery house.
Ponderosa is, I'd have to say to me, it's home. It's home. And I mean, I get done with my day and I look forward to coming home.
Wow. The Ponderosa is unique. And coming here, this is, a Jesus-based house. This is your higher power when you come here. And for me, it's what I needed.
The Ponderosa, it's a fellowship, home.
I'd been thinking about it, and I'd been around recovery houses, and the one thing I knew was missing was Jesus. So I asked Steve Thiessen if he'd come in and lead a Bible study on Wednesday night.
When Dan came to me and said he was starting the sober living house, I thought it was great, but I asked him what his goals were. And just for his sobriety, he needed to hang out with people struggling from alcohol.
In the past, my goal would have been to have measured success by sobriety. And since then, and again, listening to Steve, we've decided that our goal here is to tell people about Jesus Christ.
I said if we could save every alcoholic in Wichita, but we don't tell them about Jesus, we've accomplished nothing.
And he even says that people come here, that whether they make it or not, as long as they find Christ or are introduced to Christ, that's really all he cares about in the end.
But as I've been here for a while, the real main focus is finding Christ and finding a relationship with him, because really, what it boils down to, without him, you're probably not going to stay sober and clean.
I got no other vehicle to spread the word of Christ, and this vehicle is suited for me very well.
Dan is Dan. The first time when I first came, I remember calling and talking to Dan. I just got out of the hospital. I went into detox, and then I called Dan, and one of the first questions he asked me is, "Do you know Christ? Are you a Christian? Do you know Christ?" And
well, here's the thing about Dan. Okay, I come in here and one of the guys from the house told me, "Oh, you better call Dan and talk to him." So I called Dan, and the first thing he said is, "You just stay sober and we'll be all right." And I was like, "All right, yep, I'll do that. Sounds good to me." A role model in my life, he's definitely a different type of role model in my life, and Definitely gives me the butt chewings I need when when I need them. He'll definitely give them to me. But he's a good guy. Him starting this place has definitely changed my life completely.
You know, Dan is kind of like the general. I look at him like he's kind of like the sergeant at arms.
Dan is a very unique individual. He can be the most compassionate one at one minute. He can be the one to be afraid of at any minute. I brought up at the meeting, Steve asked me what makes this house work. Danny and Steve and Jim make this house work.
You know, they say about if you really give yourself to God, you know, that He'll open doors for you. And the Ponderosa and Dan is a big part of that because, you know, he's there with Christ opening that door. He's like, okay, you know, what else can we do to get your life together?
You know, we've seen God work in unbelievable ways. It has been fun to see because it is so much bigger and smarter than I am. I just show up, the rest happens.
It's the fellowship, and it's changed my life completely. But what I've learned about Jesus from here is that he never stops loving you.
And I'm learning how to live two lives now, one with Jesus and one sober. And it's been tough for me. And I think I'm in the right place.
You know, to be honest with you, I don't know if I'd be alive right now. I mean, I know I might look kind of healthy and whatever, this and that and the other, but I was in a place where I was in a real bad situation. So to me, it's a lifesaver. Yeah. I'm just glad to be here. You know, I'm glad to be here. That's all. I was in a bad place, and now I'm not.
You know, growing up in a conservative church, I had a picture of what a Christian was, what somebody was who looked like a follower of Jesus. You know, today I'm so impressed with some of the guys here. They don't look anything at all like my picture growing up. But these guys, they do a couple things that make it so interesting. First of all, if you've never been in a state like this, these are guys that admit their weaknesses. At the same time, they also come back to rely on Jesus. And that's the only thing for a lot of them they have to hang on to. And it's real.
I stay here because it's changed my life. I don't think there's any place like the Ponderosa around.